Welcome. Welcome, my fellow imperfect humans. Welcome to the You Get To podcast. This is episode 8. You get to take a vacation. Ooh, boy, am I excited about this one because I've got some vacations coming up that I'm really excited about this summer. And I wanted to share with you some of the thoughts and feelings that have come up for me as I am thinking about and planning these vacations. I have a lot of excitement, of course, but I'm also noticing some overwhelm at planning all the details, some doubts, some concerns of whether I deserve to go on vacation, whether it's financially responsible, and just lots of feelings are coming along for the ride that I didn't anticipate. So I wanted to talk about them today because maybe you've experienced similar feelings as well. And as my favorite group says, the chicks are my favorite group. We are only as sick as our secrets. And since my goal is health, we are talking about it. So there are no secrets. Okay, so vacation. Where am I going? My first vacation is next month. Yes. And it's going to be with my bestie who I have not seen in 2 years. We're going to have 3 days together in beautiful Prescott, Arizona. A few months ago, she texted me and she asked me if I realized that we have never spent time alone together. There are always parents or spouses or children or all of the above with us. And we have been friends for 25 years. We met as preteens while we were both attending Family Week in Provincetown, Massachusetts. And as the story goes, she pretty much followed me around and forced me to be her best friend. And that's not an entirely inaccurate description of the beginning of our relationship. I was a very shy person who just really hoped to blend into the walls and never be seen. And she was like literally jumping up and down in front of me saying, I see you and I love you and I want to be your best friend. So, yeah, that is how our relationship started. And so she was my best friend. Over the years, we've flown back and forth across the country because she lives on the East Coast and I live on the West Coast. We've been to graduations and weddings and, flown back and forth to meet each other's new babies. But it was just never the two of us. We vacationed with our families. But I don't even know if we have been in each other's company for more than like 15 or 20 times in all the 25 years of our relationship. It's kind of crazy to have such a deep relationship when you hardly even see each other. But sometimes we joke that that's what keeps our relationship alive, because if we lived down the street from each other, we might drive each other crazy. So, it keeps our relationship fresh. But the realization that we had never spent quality time, just the two of us, it really got me into action. And, I haven't been willing to fly during COVID. So I started kind of planning out when I would be fully vaccinated. And we started putting together a trip based on that date when we would both be fully vaccinated. So we started, asking ourselves, well, where do we want to go? And honestly, we didn't care. We just wanted, to find a place where we can go and be together. But budget is a factor for both of us. So how we picked it is we just decided to pick a location based on where we could find, a nice place to stay and, with affordable airfare and affordable accommodations. So there was some back and forth, before we settled on where we were going. And so this first round of besties trips, because, oh yes, this is going to become a thing. Like now that we've realized that we can do that, we're adults and that we can do this, and that it's something that would bring so much joy to our lives, like it is going to become a thing. So for this first time, we're going to visit sunny Prescott, Arizona. And as best as either of us can figure, neither one of us has been there. So we both get to check it off our lists. Yeah, we can lay by the pool and cook together and take walks together and just sit and be with each other and talk or not talk. And I am finally going to make her dream come true, because we are finally going to get Bestie Tattoos. She's literally been asking me to do this for 20 years since I turned 18. I don't even think I think she was still like 16. So I'm not sure how she figured we'd do that. Anyway, maybe she was 18. Anyway, a long time. She's been wanting this. But, as the beginning of our relationship tells, like I'm a little bit more reserved. I'm a little bit more slower. And she's very, very patient. So, now at almost 40, now's the time. It's going to be my first tattoo. But, since she's my most cherished friend, I really love the idea that she gets the honor of having my first, of being my first. And one of the fun things about planning this trip has been that both of us are really feeling more excited in our daily lives with something to look forward to, especially with the last year being so difficult. We got to condo shop and, we get to send pictures of tattoo ideas back and forth. And it's given us an opportunity to breathe new life into our relationship. But we've both also noticed other feelings that are coming up that feel less exciting. Both of us were feeling guilty about taking time and money away from our families for something that was pure enjoyment. Like, I guess it felt selfish in a way. So it's really sparked some great conversations between us. And, through talking it out, we've written a new story together about how taking this trip will actually contribute abundance in our lives, not scarcity. It is contributing to the greater good, not detracting like our brains would like for us to believe. And we're already seeing that in the days that lead up to the trip. We're feeling excited and we show up very different with our families and, to our careers when we come from a place of excitement versus a place of the mundane that daily life, especially during COVID times, can bring. So when those fears, crept up, I was just really proud of us because we acknowledged them and we talked about all the ways in which this trip is really beneficial for us, mentally and even spiritually. Being able to feel that connection is just kind of healing, food for the soul, I guess is what you'd call it. So, after talking about all the ways in which the trip is beneficial, we found that our fears really kind of quieted down especially after we saw the big list that we had created about, the abundance that this trip is actually bringing to our lives. Another thing that has come up for us is, feeling guilty for spending money. We could be doing more responsible things like paying off debt or putting money in savings, putting it away for a rainy day. Have any of you ever felt like that? Oh, I shouldn't go on vacation because I don't have X, Y, or Z. We're trying to give ourselves this beautiful gift of time spent together, and our brains are feeding us all of these reasons why it's a bad idea. But the truth is, we are already feeling more invigorated in our lives because we have this trip in the books. We're celebrating all of the money that comes our way. We are saying yes when paying gigs come our way. So we actually are generating more income because we're taking this trip. We are taking care of chores that we have been procrastinating on. And we've been sharing our gratitude with each other every day. So this 3-day trip is really creating excitement and momentum in our lives. And we're also choosing to do the work as all of these thoughts come up during the process. We're talking through them and we're using them as opportunities to think and feel differently, to do things differently than we have in the past. Because we deserve to clean up our thinking and enjoy the heck out of the 3 days that we spend together, just the two of us. We don't have to accept every thought that pops into our head and think it's fact. We don't have to feel guilty for pausing, working our asses off so that we can spend a little time together rejuvenating. And I don't think that my bestie and I are alone in this struggle with this kind of self-sabotage that happens. I think this is a thing that, we as humans do. We reach our threshold for being able to accept good things into our lives. It starts to feel uncomfortable when things are going too well. When we start to stretch outside of that comfort zone. And if it's left unnoticed, our brains will just continue to supply us with, thoughts that serve to knock us back down into a zone that is really familiar and comfortable. So our job, if we want to be able to grow and fully accept a life of abundance and to be able to accept the good fortune that comes our way, we need to learn to recognize when this is happening inside of us so we can push the pause button. So with my bestie and I, we're just talking with each other as these thoughts and fears and concerns come up. We are recognizing that even though this trip is exactly what we want for ourselves and for our relationship and, having these trips be a part of our lives, it's causing alarms to go off in our brains. By making our dreams become reality, we've activated the warning devices in our nervous systems. When they sound, instead of kind of taking ourselves back down into the comfort zone and saying, oh, you know what? Maybe we should postpone this trip when finances are a little bit better, when whatever the perfect circumstances are, instead of doing that, we're acknowledging them and we're assessing them and we're choosing to turn them off. We have to be willing to stop what we're doing to assess whether those alarms are really necessary and wanted and applicable to this particular circumstance. There has to be an assessment process instead of just blindly accepting every alarm that goes off. The number one job of the brain is to keep us safe. And unfortunately, technology and society has advanced at a much greater rate than our default kind of internal alarm systems. So, really, our brains are like half here today and half still in the cave. So, next time you plan a trip, I encourage you to pay attention to your mind. What do you notice? Do you have any reoccurring thoughts? Look back at your previous trips. What's gone well and what hasn't? And notice if there are any patterns. Do you feel anxious? Do you tend to pick fights with your spouse when you're on vacation or getting ready for one? Are there ways you are sabotaging your trip before you even get there? Leave me a comment and let me know what you've noticed in your life, because I'm a nerd and find these things fascinating. And it's a lot less fun for me to just talk at the camera than to kind of have some interaction. So I'd love to know your experiences. Happy Wednesday. If it's not Wednesday when you're listening to it, happy whatever day it is. And I'll see you next week. Bye for now.